Good afternoon, everyone. I know that you're going to see this next Tuesday when it comes out. However, as I sit here on Friday recording this video, comes to mind that you might be interested in what's happening with the coronavirus. In other countries, they're prepared for an epidemic in their own country. Japan has just closed all their schools for 1 month. China has just declared that most of the exporters to any country on the planet are no longer responsible for meeting their contract deadlines. Because from what I understand from a friend of mine, China is not going back to work full time until the end of March. At this point, I guess the UK has posted about 200 billion in lost revenue because of the virus. And our country, we're not being transparent at all. HHS personnel and some CDC physicians went without protective gear to welcome the incoming quarantined people in California. This is no spontaneous transmission of a virus in that woman in California. She met somebody, whether it was a taxi cab driver, someone who doesn't know who she met and how many people may have been affected. I know that when I did economic studies on how many people do we touch in our daily lives and how many are affected when we don't interact with, butchers, pharmacists, etc. It's about 20 people, not counting your own family. So for those in the CDC and in Health and Human Services who were in contact with people from Wuhan province, please get yourself tested so your families, you, and your community can be safe. There's got to be a way for you to get the testing now. It's after the fact, but knowing is better than not knowing. I didn't go to an AIPAC conference this weekend because I did not want to be with 80,000 people potentially. And knowing that you can get the virus just by touching your face or putting a tissue to your eyes, I felt, you know what? That's a risk I didn't want to take. And so I think erring on the side of caution with this virus is appropriate. The market has responded a lot. It's responded over 10-15%. Do not be concerned. You only take a loss when you sell. At some point, it may be a buying opportunity. Not now. Don't even think about it. It's like grabbing a falling knife. So the market is concerned. And we also do not have many tools in our economic toolbox. Our interest rates are really low. If we had a government that cared about people, we would not have to fear this virus or anything that comes our way, because we would be investing in infrastructure. And we would not be investing it only in Gulf states. The entire eastern seaboard is in jeopardy of being eroded. New York and New Jersey just asked for federal assistance on our tunnels. It carries millions of people a day between New York and New Jersey. And we were just told by the federal government that this is a medium to low priority. Ask the folks in New Jersey and Staten Island and any place else in our tri-state area if our bridges and tolls are a medium to low priority. What we want is a government that serves all of us all the time. This is not Democrat against Republican. This is about having statespeople in our government 24/7, not a news cycle 24/7 with crises that are self-generated, but 24/7 where we help all of our working people and all of our poor people. We're not doing that. Today, white America is suffering what the poor African Americans suffered back in the 60s and the 70s. Poor white people and middle class people are really dying of diseases of despair, probably more so than any other group. And what are diseases of despair? They're suicide, they're opioids, and they're alcohol addiction. We're a wealthy country. Nowhere else do we have so much concentration of wealth. In private hands alone, there might be $31 trillion. In the corporate tax cuts that came in to being because of Mike Pence and Donald Trump's insistence and Mitch McConnell, corporations have never been so wealthy. They make 40% profit, and they're monopolies, and there is no competition. You want to know why you're suffering in America? It's because of these monopolies. Could we do something about it? You bet. Antitrust could take care of it in a second. But instead, we let every business become more and more concentrated. And instead of them giving back to the employees or investing in research and development, they're investing in personal growth. Well, for those who depend on the stock market, view what's happening today as one white swan that has really affected the American business community. There's nothing like fear to drive the indexes, and it's nothing like algorithms to really enhance that fear. This is not like the old days. Our stock market is very frothy. We all know it. And all it takes is one catastrophe or two. God forbid climate should become so bad in America that the pollution overwhelms most people, and that we don't take our own advice and do something about climate, pollution, the tides, the oceans, the erosion, the heart attacks, the asthma. We can do it all. We can do it with a government that values American people, a government who stands up for labor, a government who cares and has compassionate for all of us. Our future can be bright because the money is out there and it can be tapped. So don't panic. Don't go into crowds if you don't have to. And take care of yourselves. Wash your hands all the time, because we never know when the virus is going to hit America. But it probably will within the next few weeks. So be prepared. So I'm not going to AIPAC. I've got a lot to talk about. And I'll see you next week, because I'm going to be involved in the news, in media, and in the UN. I've been invited to join a task force on climate crises that are affecting Africa and the island nations of this planet. We know there's nothing to deny. It's real, and folks are feeling the effects of climate. And just as an aside, if you think Donald Trump is really your guy, and you really think he's for the Jewish vote, think again. I was at the German consulate this week, where the German people themselves were decrying the rise of the AfD, their extreme right-wing party. And guess who Donald Trump has sponsored to come to the CPAC conference this weekend? A young woman who was a climate denier, whose mother represents the AfD. This is not about right or wrong or left or right. Actually, it is about right or wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong-headed policy in a time when we need democracies to survive and thrive, and when we need all of us to do the same. So, I leave you with these thoughts, and you tell me, are you really better off now than you were 4 years ago? Write me. Let me know what you think. If you're happy, tell me why. And if you're not, I'd like to hear that too. So contact me at the Voice of Joyce at earthlink.net, and have a blessed day. I wish everyone safe journeys.